this is going to be the interesting challenge
Mm.
when we try to move off of BizTalk to Azure Integration.
Yeah.
Or even any integration platform, because I had one customer that tried it. They'd been sold a really good story by MuleSoft that it's going to take them a short amount of time to convert. It took them about 10 times that amount of time, and they didn't get it. They didn't even get it right when they were done. So, and what I see is what happened is that they announced they were moving off of BizTalk, so the BizTalk people in the company left.
Yeah.
So they had no knowledge of what BizTalk was doing. They had nobody, like you said, you can't just sit down a new starter and have a look at BizTalk and see what it's doing.
No.
Because of the intricacies of BizTalk and how it works with pipelines and the way the orchestration engine works. That's going to be the biggest challenge that we have, is that the companies that are running BizTalk don't have people that understand what it's doing.
Yeah, exactly.
It's so good at what it does. It's sitting in the corner. It's running. The only reason we did the 2020 upgrade was because the underlying SQL and Windows were all out of support. It wasn't the fact that they needed to change what BizTalk was doing.
No, because the capabilities are like the same from 16. Yeah. It's quite same.
Yeah. And so, but I do think this is going to be the biggest challenge, and I think this is what people have underestimated. If BizTalk 2020 is the last version of BizTalk, we've got 5 years to move that BizTalk workload somewhere else.
Yeah,
I think we have less than that. I because you will have a lot of components that might be. Now we're talking about BizTalk, but you have the SQL, you have the systems that going to, like, companies going to use another systems. They are transforming. This is not gonna be good in the long run.
Yeah. So that's what my latest thing for my clients that I know that have BizTalk. It's, guys, start thinking about this. We need to get stuff started. Otherwise, it's all of a sudden going to happen to you.
Yeah.
But what's your advice on that, Bill? Because you have been working with BizTalk for so long. You see what's happening now with Azure and everything, and you see what's the mainstream reports ends. How should you start? What's the first step you should take as a company if you have BizTalk now?
You need to document what you've got.
Yeah.
And I really, that's the big challenge, is the fact that document what you have. And then start looking. Then you can start seriously looking. Okay, is Service Bus going to help me solve a lot of that stuff that I'm doing in BizTalk, or is it really logic apps with an orchestration engine type thing, or is it just something like functions using picking up files and dropping files like BizTalk, like people use BizTalk to do. It's really, but you really have to, and this is the big challenge that most of the people have had. They don't have any BizTalk people. They don't know what BizTalk is doing, but they need that same functionality somewhere else.
Yeah.
And the issue I also saw for some some stuff out there, I have been hearing from other projects and stuff, like when you are like missing this point and saying now we're gonna migrate, and you forget about BizTalk and you don't even document what it is, it will hit you back, because what's there is actually what's running in the system, and
that's right.
This is, and they say that we're gonna refactor, so we don't need to worry about how BizTalk works. But that's the biggest thing you would ever do.
Yeah.
And that's what the one company that went to MuleSoft, that was the problem they hit. Is they thought, the business people thought they knew what it was doing. It wasn't.
No,
it was different, and they needed to go through and really look at what BizTalk was doing to be able to start. I mean, there's a lot of stuff that's happened in the last couple of years that's going to make this BizTalk migration easier. That custom code using the built-in functions and logic apps, and support for the maps and the map helpers. Because I mean, almost every solution I ever built with BizTalk had map helpers.
Yeah,
because date formatting and stuff like that in BizTalk maps was a pain.
Yeah.
So, and those kind of things there. And now that we can move some of that stuff over to Logic Apps pretty easily.
Yeah.
Some of the latest stuff that Harold's been working on with around the XML as a first class piece in BizTalk and the Logic Apps, that's going to help. But again, you've got to have that grasp of what it's doing.
Yeah. And you know what is the issue also that I found out there a little bit when you are approaching this from you, if you are not BizTalk Bill or like someone else out there that have been having from BizTalk,
Yeah.
you will ignore BizTalk because you don't have the skill. You don't really look at it, and then you think that you can redo the exact same things in Azure.
And that was what was my next question actually. What's your advice, or what's your I mean, it's not an advice, like what's your take on a one-to-one migration if you have the BizTalk and you try to do an exact one-to-one migration?
It really depends a lot of what that one-to-one migration is about. I mean, BizTalk was such a broad product. You could do so many different things with it. So that's why you really got to go and look at what it's doing. And the thing is, there may be some other tools. Like I know that one of my customers, instead of at first they were doing a lot of file movement with BizTalk, pick it up off one place and then send it out with SFTP or FTP. They've got other tools they can move those to that do a better job of it than anything that we can do.
Yeah.
I mean, but there's still that piece that you really have to look at what BizTalk is doing. And I think in conjunction with that is you also have to look at the newer systems that they're trying to talk to. Because a lot of them have kind of shoehorned what BizTalk was doing into their new system. So they may be picking it up out of a database somewhere that BizTalk used to write it to and doing some stuff there.
Yeah.
So I mean, a few of the things are pretty much a one-to-one migration. A lot of the EDI stuff, we can, because a lot of times what they were doing, they were grabbing the EDI stuff in BizTalk, mapping it into an internal format, sending it to an internal system to process, because it's orders and invoices and things like that. Where Azure, you can do the same thing, you can do that, and now that the Logic App standard supports AS2, EDIFACT, and X12, that's going to make it a lot easier for a lot of those migrations, but they still can be kind of one-to-one because you're getting these 5 files from this customer, and they need to go to to back-end system to process.
Yeah, and you also have the XLT. I have been using the XLT, like lifting it directly to Logic App standard. It's been working fine. If you
I haven't done as much XLT as I've actually done a lot of the liquid maps.
Okay.
On any new work that I've done a lot of the liquid maps.
Yeah, well, the data mapper also is quite nice, and you can export that to an XLT file, and it's
I haven't really looked too much at the mapper.
It's nice. It's a different experience. It feels like BizTalk, but like in a newer version. So you need to get used to it a little